What's up, everybody? Welcome to TPI, the Total Podcast Idiot Show, where we cover everything related to the Hardwood universe, the best college basketball online simulation game that you've ever played in your entire life and ever will play. I am Robert. I am your top idiot for the day, and that's Andrew over there, the slightly less idiot. How you doing today, Andrew?
I'm doing all right. Yeah, just a nice, relaxing Sunday, pretty much. Lots of action in Hardwood, obviously. So let's get to it, right?
A nice little player dev day. We always love player development days.
Yeah. How was yours? Actually, I don't think I asked.
Mine was quite good. Mine was quite good. I had a 1.0 TPI boost with Oswego, so we like that, you
Mm-hmm.
know. But we always hate when key players develop in areas we don't care about. I don't want my center to become a 14 in passing. It's just not that important. It's really not.
Hey, he could be the next Bill Walton, though,
No,
right?
I don't. That's not what I called for. I want Shaq, not Bill Walton. This is in 75.
I guess. I mean, it's 2017 after all, right?
This is true. How did your development go?
It was okay, kind of similar to yours. Like some guys, some bigs improving in handling and passing. Eh, you know.
Big guys, big guys. We like it. They think they're point guards. They're not. So yeah, we're gonna do a little bit something different today. We usually do our Sunday episodes where we sort of recap some of the big things from the week, talk about some of the teams that are rising or falling in each of the conferences. But since we're so close to the end of the season, we kind of want to do something a little bit different today, where we're going to look at some of the competitive races in some of the conferences, sort of chart out, what it looks like for the rest of for those teams for the rest of the season, and make some guesses as to which teams might come out on top.
Yeah, like we said kind of last week, right? A lot of the races already kind of figured out and now they're more developed. And so I think we can take a really close look at a lot of these races for the titles and promotion. And really hash it out, more so than we could before. So we're not going to necessarily be looking at like rosters anymore because everyone's gone through the whole conference once at least, or yeah, I mean, you've gone through half, 1.5 cycles. Um, so you know the other team's rosters basically, So but you don't know their schedules, and that's what we're gonna break down for you for some of the conferences. We can't do all of them.
We could do all of them, but we're not that crazy. I mean,
I
let's be
mean, we
real.
are, but yeah,
We kind of are. We kind of did start a podcast about an online college basketball simulation game.
yeah.
Maybe we're a little crazy.
But we're not gonna do demotion. We thought about it though, right?
I really wanted to because, as a fan of the English Premier League, the most famous soccer league in the entire world, when you get to the end of the season, right, whoever's going to win the title, the top team is usually a really competitive race. But sometimes the most interesting races are the relegation race. So the bottom three teams in the Premier League go down, and it's a huge financial cost for those teams. And so there's usually like four or five teams battling to not be in those bottom three, and those can be some of the most exciting races. So we really kind of want to do demotion, do relegation, and look at some of those battles. But I mean, we can only do so much.
Yeah, to me, I think it's kind of depressing too. No one wants to hear like, "Oh yeah, sorry, you're done for."
I mean, I do if it's the teams I don't like. I'm just kidding. I love everyone. I'm just kidding. I don't have any teams I don't like.
Yeah, right. Absolutely.
Okay.
All right. So like Wednesday or Thursday, I guess is what we did. We're gonna start with D3 though, talk
Yeah,
about them.
D3,
We're
baby.
not gonna like it won't take up a huge chunk. Don't worry, guys. Don't worry, D1. We got you still.
Yes, D1, you'll have to be patient and wait for your turn for once.
But when I was looking through all the conferences, what I did was I just like, clicked that scroll button on just like going through all of them, looking for some tight races for the titles and promotion, obviously. And honestly, it was kind of surprising how few conferences were all that competitive. A lot of them had like 4 game gaps, 5 game gaps. And so it kind of was already settled for who would win the conference or who would promote already. Obviously, we found some competitive ones, but I was expecting, with 32 conferences, I was expecting like 20 of them to be, in contention for being talked about, but that wasn't the case.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it's due to the fact that a lot of D3 conferences have bot run teams. Maybe it's due to the fact that there's a real big talent disparity in a lot of these conferences,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
Where the top teams get recruiting classes. If you're in D3, LL6, right, and you sign one recruiting class that has 3 solid guys or something like that, for the next coming 2-3 years, you might have a big enough talent gap between the other teams in that conference
Hmm.
that like you're in competition for promoting every season, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. That's a good point. If you're facing a bunch of bots, they just go after whoever really. We don't understand necessarily the recruits they go after, and like if there's a formula, but as a human, you can target who you go after and really specialize your team. And we know like game planning wise, bots are probably better than humans.
Butler.
Yeah, but in terms of just like roster construction and lineup composition, I'd say humans are still better than bots.
For sure. Yeah, for sure. And there's the occasional bot run team that has like a nice boost in terms of the recruiting or something, or they have, a couple successful seasons, but they usually cycle back down pretty fast.
Yeah.
There's not many bot run teams that are successful, like that sustain their success, right, over
Right.
multiple seasons. That doesn't happen. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. All right. So just looking at a few conferences, one that really stands out to me is 6.1. And mainly, it's not necessarily because it's like a really tight race for promotion, because it's just 3 teams clearly at the top. Um, but those 3 teams are in the top 11 of RPI for D3, which, I mean, props to that conference.
Yeah, that's a pretty big deal. Obviously, we are just talking about the fact that there's talent disparity, and maybe it's not like a super big race, but that just goes to show that maybe even though it's not a super big race, it's still really competitive at the top. And those are teams that when you get to the tournament might make some noise.
Right. Yeah. And so, I mean, we won't go too far into them, but we're not gonna really review them because like the leader is obviously leading by 3 games over the second place team, and then it's 1 game to the third place team. So it's like again, and then a 2 game gap between 3 and 4. So again, it's like a pretty wide gap between promoting teams and then non-promotion, but also the leader versus second place. So yeah, that's why I didn't think like it was worthy to really go in depth here.
Yeah, yeah. There's a lot to analyze there for sure. Um,
But the first
so
conference we will go in depth on is who?
so the first conference we're really going to break down here is VI6, right? And as you can see, it's a pretty competitive conference in terms of the 4 teams at the top, right?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, you can see they're all 4 are within 1 game of each other. And then Rob made this spreadsheet showing the remaining opponents' RPIs and the home and away splits remaining for each of these teams. And we've kind of glossed over that home teams have an advantage, but I think it's pretty evident that they do have some sort of advantage. I think there's uh, a lot of different theories on how much that advantage is, but I think it's pretty clear that there is some sort of advantage for home teams.
So when I was calculating the remaining opponent RPI, and then I was sort of like trying to think about how do we factor in the home away split, like can I multiply by RPI by something? Like if you have 7 away games, maybe do it by a certain factor. And obviously that's too
Mm,
complicated. I couldn't think about it. But like, I mean, the amount of impact that being an away team has on a matchup, I think is a little bit more substantial than most people are giving credit to. Right? Like
yeah,
I would think it's
yeah,
enough to flip a close game at times.
yeah. You know, I mean, we've all had games where like or matchups where we won by so and so much on the at home, but then like lost by an equal amount even on the road, or less, a lot closer potentially. Um, but I would say that yeah, the home and away like difference, yeah, could probably like flip a matchup if it's really close. Like when I only win by less than like 10 at home, I get kind of scared when I go on the road basically to have to face that team again because I'm like, oh, it was close when we were at home. Yeah, I would be a little scared on the road now.
Yeah, or if you have like if you go on the road against a team and you have a big road win by like 10 plus, 15 plus or something like that, well, when that team comes back to you, you're usually pretty confident, getting a victory on the road, that you're going to get a victory at home. So I don't know, like if it's to the point where, like look at oh, they should say 3 and 5.
Yeah.
But like if you look at like the example between Georgia College and Columbus State, where it's like 4 home games, 4 away, and then 3 and 5, that's probably not all that much of a difference, right? But
Mm-hmm,
then all
mm-hmm.
these teams are within 1 game of each other. Maryland has 6 at home, and Troy has 7 on the road. That's enough of a difference that you think maybe 1 or 2 games in that stretch swings the either way.
For sure. Yeah. I would say like the difference between Troy and Maryland seems pretty significant. Even like Maryland and Columbus State, I would be like, yeah, that's a pretty big difference that could swing that race for sure.
Yeah, I mean, just looking at it, you'd rather have 6 home games than you would 7 away games, especially when it's 7 out of 8. That's really aggressive, right? That's really fast. So, um,
Yeah.
yeah.
Sorry,
So
I'm moving all around.
no, you're fine. So
Okay.
let's go out on a limb here. Let's make some prediction for conference winners just to be fun.
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, I gotta look a little bit at my notes here to try to help with that
Nope,
for me.
just nope,
You know
nope,
me.
nope. You just got to make a guess.
All right. So I would say that Columbus State actually looks like the best in the best spot to me.
Okay.
Here, we
Okay.
can go to the actual conference and check it out too.
Yeah. So Columbus
So,
State. Go ahead. Go ahead.
yeah, Columbus State, right? They have 3 home games. So, it's not, it's like it's second to least out of these four. And they have the third best point differential, but like it's close enough to Georgia College and Troy that I would be like, it's not, too hard to make up that in 1 or 2 games.
Yeah.
Maryland is pretty far back, I'd say, from all three in terms of point differential. And yeah, they have the most home games, so maybe they can make that up, but I'm not sure about that. Also, Troy and Columbus State are the only ones with like active presidents. Maryland's hasn't logged in a while, and obviously Georgia College is a bot. So I always, kind of lean towards the human run teams. And yeah, so that's why I'm preferring Columbus State over Georgia College and Maryland. And then that like 3 home games to 1 home game for Columbus State is why I come over Troy. And the important thing is actually there's a head-to-head matchup between Columbus State and Troy on
Mm,
February 6th in the game, and that's this upcoming Wednesday. Um, but yeah, but here's the thing. Troy, they have 1 home game left, right? But it's that matchup.
yeah.
So that's pretty big.
I mean, that could be a decider for the conference, right?
Yeah. And actually that might be a decider for the national tournament too, because just one of these teams is in and one of them is on the bubble. And the other two aren't even like in the picture.
Yeah. I mean, that's a reflection of a weak conference, right? We look at some of these records and there's a lot of bad teams in this conference, and as a result, a lot of bad RPIs.
Right. Yeah.
So you pick Columbus State. They also have the lowest remaining opponent RPI at 0.46, right? Georgia College is at 0.479. That's a significant difference, in my opinion. I didn't run the stats on it. Forgive me. But yeah, so I mean, I think Columbus State is a good pick. That's probably where I was going to go, but to be a contrarian, um, let's go with Georgia College.
Okay. We're going with the bot.
Going with the bot, the game planning bot. The strongest remaining opponent RPI at 479, right?
Yeah.
4 home games, 4 away, but Georgia College they finished the season with 2 weak teams. And they have 2 of the worst teams in the conference in Gannon and Indiana, University of Pennsylvania. So a decent chance for them to pick up some good wins. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, I really should have used this metric too, because yeah, that does help a lot.
Yeah.
Show what the strong schedules are, kind of.
It's going to give you an idea of, how bad the teams are that they have left on their schedule.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, yeah.
Nice. All right. So yeah, you can see the next conference we want to talk about is 6.9. And so, I mean, I don't think we'll go too in depth here. But we've talked about Tennessee Tech a little bit before, and they're like one of the best teams in RPI for D3. And they're leading, of course, as you can see. But here's the weird thing, or the crazy thing. There's 7 teams within 2 games. And obviously you can see there's, another one with 3 games back. But I don't know, once you start to get like double-digit losses, I kind of like start to not consider them, basically.
Yeah. So
but this conference is so close any way you look at it.
yeah, I mean, between 1 and 12, it's a 5-game spread. Some of the other conferences we looked at, it was a 5-game spread between 3 and 4. So like, I mean, we talked about Tennessee Tech before, them being one of the better teams in D3 in terms of RPI and stuff. And that may be buoyed by the fact that they, beat up on a weak non-con, because they have 7 conference losses and 9 total losses.
Right.
But like, there's a lot of parity in this conference. Like we said, I mean, 15-7 is leading the conference. You're 2 games back in 7th at 13-9. A lot of things could change very fast.
Yeah. So I mean, you only listed 4 teams here. There's 7 like kind of in contention. In terms of like predicting, oh man, I didn't look too closely at it. And obviously there's 3 other teams that we could consider too.
Yeah. So for the sake of time, I wasn't going to do, 7 different teams in terms of the calculations.
Yeah, me neither.
Yeah.
That's why I didn't want to go too in depth here.
But you could, I mean, go on a limb and pick one of the teams that's 2 games back if you want.
All right. Yeah. No, I don't think I will, because looking at like point differentials, they're not that strong.
Right.
So that's kind of what I'm going with more. And so with that, I'm gonna say College of New Jersey here, actually.
I got to start going first. You keep taking my picks.
Oh, I'm sorry. I should let you go first.
No. It's okay. Next time I
already picked it.
Yeah, you already picked College of New Jersey.
Yeah, next time you go first, though.
All right.
Sorry.
All right. No, it's okay. You're rolling with College of New Jersey. I mean, both great minds think alike. That's why we host the podcast, right?
For sure, yeah. We do think very similarly.
We do on some things. Okay, so
like baseball prospects.
So looking at it, first of all, the first thing we noticed, remaining opponent RPI, all of them are above 0.5, right? The conference we just looked at, all of them were well below 0.5. So
yeah, wow.
There's some parity in terms of D3 conferences. So you pick Jersey. They have the second strongest remaining opponent RPI, but there's 4 and 4 in terms of homes and away games. I'm gonna go with Lynn. It's the strongest, but they got 7 home games. I'm gonna stand by the home game difference making a difference in some of these games late.
Yeah, I think that's a good pick, looking at the home games. Yeah, I don't know too much about this conference's teams in general. I mean, I didn't look at every single team, but yeah, I think the home games is a big separator, definitely.
Yeah, I agree. So
all right,
we'll have to see what happens this one, because it's a tight race. It'd be really interesting if one of those teams that's 2 games back somehow finds a way to win.
Yeah, anything can happen, right?
Yeah. Okay,
wow,
I gotta stop
this next conference. This next conference, VI 21, 6.21, those remaining RPIs are really low.
They're really low. So when I was trying to do some reconnaissance for this conference, I realized that they only have 1 team that's in the top 50 in RPI in D3, and that's Milliken.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's Milliken. Right. And then the other 2 teams that are in contention for promotion, that are in the promotion spots in contention to win, their RPIs are not great at all. But this is a conference that's bad. Like, you have 5 teams with RPIs above 0.5, and then it just drops off a cliff fast.
Right. I mean, my notes say, obviously there's 3 teams tied up top, and you can see them. And just one of them is Human Run, and that's Calvin here.
Yeah.
But like all 3 are on the cusp of like both being in the tournament, but also being out, essentially. Right. If any one of them lose, they're, especially if it's not to each other, they like shoot their own chances in the foot. Right.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it almost feels like whoever wins the conference tournament is going to be the only team that goes.
Yeah, right? I think so. Yeah.
The only other way I could see it not happening is if Milliken finishes the season strong and then another team wins the conference and Milliken sneaks in. But My guess
Mm-hmm.
is you're probably not getting two teams out of this conference into the tourney.
Yeah, I would also guess that. So basically, obviously, you want to win the conference tournament, but you might just be playing for like regular season title too and promotion, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Which
Um,
is they're both valuable, right? And that's not a worthless thing.
I think, you know, I was thinking about that the other day, and it's something that's probably unique to the president. Like for me, like, and I mentioned this on a previous podcast, I want to go deep into a national tourney. I would
Yeah.
love an Elite Eight Final Four appearance, right? And some of these teams, like if they pop up in terms of promotion and then struggle and come right back down, is it? I mean, maybe you get the bump in recruiting because you're D2 now over D3 or something, but is it really all that great? You know?
That's a good question. I mean, we can probably talk about that more deeply on another episode, I'm sure.
Yeah, definitely. All right, so I guess it's my turn to make a prediction first, right?
Yeah, yeah, go for it.
Okay, I am gonna roll with Calvin because
Yeah,
out
I
of these
like
three
him.
teams, they're the only one that is not bot, and I just picked two bots.
Yeah, I think I'm rooting for Calvin. And they have a good shot. You know, they face Bridgeport uh, at home, but they also have Colgate, who's in fourth, and they face them on the road. But they also have four of the bottom five on their schedule as well. So I think it's like set up pretty well to, move up. So I like Calvin's chances. I'm not gonna go with them here, mainly because you did. um, I don't think I'm gonna go with Bridgeport either. I think I'm gonna go with Milliken, the current front runner here. They don't face
Boo.
Bridgeport or Calvin head to head. They have obviously home games left. Um, yeah, I think they just have that slight advantage, and they don't have to go up against either one of them, either one of the other teams. While they have to go up against each other. So I think that's quite an advantage.
There's also like not a big difference here between, you know, the home away splits for any of these teams, and there's not a lot separating them in terms of remaining opponent RPI. They're pretty weak across the board, but there's not
Hmm.
one outlier there, so it's not like, you know, nobody's being contrarian by picking any one of these teams. I don't think.
Right, and yeah, I mean, Milliken has the worst remaining opponent RPI that by your measurements,
Yeah.
but who's just that could change tomorrow,
Yeah,
drastically.
that's the thing about RPI, right? Like, so the remaining opponent RPI is like by tomorrow, if one of these strong teams loses to a bad team, it could change drastically. It's probably not the best measure of figuring out the remaining strength of schedule for any of these teams, but like it's the easiest one to sort of quantify for a YouTube show like this. um,
No, I think it's really good. I wasn't trying to like downplay it or anything.
no, but we
I
just
think
need to
it
be honest about
works
the
really
strengths
well
of it. Yeah, yeah, I
for
agree.
sure. Yeah, yeah. So yeah, D3. Uh, the admin, he posted a post in the forums about kind of our show from this past Thursday, actually, talking about why D3's like tournament projections aren't so accurate. And I think it made a lot of sense. It's just because there's so much volume, like we said, that you can't accurately predict who's gonna come out of there, in the conference tournaments, basically. And because that takes up half the field, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously there's going to be upsets, and obviously some favorites are going to win, but you just can't predict who's going to do what. And so that's why the field is so inaccurate, basically.
I think that's a really fair point. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. So I don't know. That was a cool insight to that, because I hadn't thought of it like that, actually.
Yeah, me neither. I'm glad Steve listens. Shout out Steve.
Yeah. Yeah, shout out.
Shout out Steve.
All right. So we're gonna move up to D2, of course. And man, you just want to talk about our conference so much.
Dude, our conference is probably the strongest in D2. Let's not lie.
Yeah, I mean it probably is.
Yeah. I mean, we let's kick it off with ours.
Sounds good. All right, so yeah, D2, we're talking about 5.3, and this is We're not going to talk about our teams though. Actually, that's the surprising thing today.
That's the sad thing, because that infers that neither of our teams are in contention for the for the conference.
We have outside shots, Rob. We can do it. We're tied, actually. Oh my gosh. All right. But you can see up here, there's three teams like clearly out in front, right? And we talked about them, we've analyzed their rosters on the show and like in scouting, of course. Moorhead, MSU Moorhead, Louisiana Lafayette, and Arkansas State, all within one game, or grouped together pretty well. Yeah, talk about them.
So for starters, Lafayette Moorhead played a game today. So obviously a really big matchup at the top of this conference. If Moorhead wins, you like their chances of separating against the field. But what happened? Let's take a look at that box score.
All right. Whoa.
Wow.
Wow.
Lafayette with a 40 bomb.
Wow, damn. And it was at Moorhead too.
It was at Moorhead. I mean,
whoa, look at the second half.
Yeah, so at halftime it's a competitive game, 47-43, and then Lafayette just goes off, 78 points in the second half.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, my God.
Jeez. And I mean, like, Lafayette is a lot deeper and they play like less minutes. I wouldn't say like they get less fatigued. They both play really fast, I know, and they both press quite a bit. Normally, at least. I'm not sure how much they pressed here.
Yeah, so
oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Look at this deep.
Moorhead pressed 78% of the time.
But I've never seen like 0 and 0
for man and zone.
Yeah.
If you get past half court, their pressure, they're just letting you lay it up. Like,
but like, Moorhead, we've talked about, they're not very deep. Their starters are really good, obviously. I mean, they're a very good team, but like, they're not a deep team. If you fatigue them, like I have before, and I know you've tried, you can get past them. And it's clear Louisiana Lafayette did.
Yeah. I mean, it's insane, but Louisiana Lafayette shot 64.5% from the field. Moorhead shot 31%.
Wow. Yeah, well, that happens.
That's insane.
Yeah, I think it was a bad game plus fatigue plus whoever else knows. I mean, that is insane. Yeah.
I mean, and with how aggressive they play and how many minutes that they're playing each of their, their center, shooting guard, and point guard there, it says fatigue heavy for all three of those guys, but they might have been on heavy fatigue by like 20 minutes in.
Right. Yeah, that's very possible.
And that's not something that we can generally look at and say, okay, he's been maybe he hit fatigue in the last minute versus maybe he hit fatigue for the last 20 minutes of the game. And that's why it's such a wide spread. But I mean, it was competitive at halftime, like we said, 47-43. So something happened in the second half that just blew it out of the water.
Yeah, that's crazy. Wow. No, thanks for bringing that to my attention. I didn't look at this box score like before, just now pretty much. So
yeah, that's
no idea.
That's a big result at the top of the conference.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So, but obviously there's one other team there, Arkansas State, lingering. I'd say Arkansas State's one of the most solid teams in the conference. They're on an 11-game winning streak. Arkansas State is.
Oh wow, yeah.
So they're hot. Yeah, they've risen up a lot. They've had a good chance to creep back into this picture. Also, something I just noticed. So Arkansas State and Lafayette are both 19-1 at home on the season, and then 9-3 and 8-4. So they played 20 home games and 12 away games.
Yeah. I mean, we've seen discrepancies like that before, I'd say.
Yeah, I know. It's just annoying. I don't like
it. Well, here's the thing, though. All three of them still have to face me.
So you're saying I'm going to pass you?
Yeah. Oh, no. I thought you meant I'm going to pass them, because I am.
We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. Hey, I think I went 3-0 against them in the first half.
I mean, your team was hot to start the conference play, for sure.
That's true. Now we're not.
Ebbs and flows.
For sure. So you can see we have like conference specific breakdowns too, which we haven't really highlighted as much. But MSU Moorhead, right? They go against you as well, but they also face Southwest Baptist and Notre Dame to Namur, who are two of the bottom 6 in the conference. But the rest of the schedule, right? Arkansas State, like we talked about, they're number 3. There's me at 4 or 5. I don't even know.
5.
5. Young Harrison, New Mexico Highlands are kind of like 7 through 10.
Yeah, middling.
Slippery Rock though is in 4th.
Yep.
So they play what 3, 4, 5, and 6 still,
Yep.
which is not the easiest schedule for
And
sure.
they end it with 6, and we're going to end their hopes and dreams on that last day.
Yeah. But then you go over to Arkansas State, and it's not much easier, actually, right? I mean, I think they have there's only one in the bottom 6. There's only one in the demotion zone, being Southwest Baptist. The rest of them are like upper tier, right, with Moorhead and Lafayette, middle tier with like Dominican, Slippery Rock, and then like kind of middle-ish, lower-ish with Holy Names and Young Harris, right, and New Mexico Highlands.
Yeah, I mean, and not to mention those last 5 are all on the road.
Yeah, and those last exactly. So that's pretty tough too. That's a tough stretch.
Yeah.
And then looking at Louisiana Lafayette, right? We just went through all these teams pretty much. It kind of looks like they also cycle through around with each other.
Yeah.
They got the 2 but down here in the demotion zone, and then middle to upper tier for the rest of these games, and they alternate. So if you have to predict, who do you think is going to come out on top here?
Yeah, man, this is tough. So Moorhead's been one of the best teams in the conference all season long, right? And normally my prediction would stay with Moorhead, but like I said, I'm going to beat them on the last game of the season, and I think that's going to be the game. I think this conference is going to come down to the last day of the season, and I think my win over Moorhead is going to be the game that helps decide the conference. So I am going to go with Arkansas State.
Oh, wow.
Even though they're like a pseudo enemy of mine. Not really, but kind of. I'm relying on Arkansas State.
I feel like all of these teams are like enemies of us, though, honestly. That's why I'm like, who should I pick? And I'm like, should I just pick me?
You're 5 games back. You could do it.
I mean, I'm not like too far back, but we need another hot streak that I'm not too confident is coming for sure. Yeah. No, I'm not going to pick me. I'm going to pick MSU Moorhead. They got the home away advantage. Morgheed.
Morgheed. We're leaving that in.
Yeah, of course. And they certainly have an easier schedule than Arkansas State, I'd say. I'd say I was good between MSU Moorhead and Louisiana Lafayette more so. And I'm just gonna go with the team with like the clear advantage in obviously games in record and also in point differential, right? Oh wait, not in point differential. I'm so wrong.
I mean, versus like
Arkansas interesting. State, yeah. Yeah, versus Arkansas State, sure. I think Arkansas State's definitely the last option for me.
Yeah, but like Lafayette is 687 overall. Like they have a really strong point differential.
Yeah, that's true. I think I'm gonna still stick with Moorhead, but I Lafayette has a good shot. I know that their team is like really well constructed, in terms of like size. They have like a 7-foot center, like a really good 6'7" power forward. But I know they're like style, like their point guard isn't like that fast, and I mean he's good, he's skilled, but he's like not. I don't know. I wouldn't have picked him to play my point guard for me, basically.
So you're saying I'm gonna lose the last day of the season
then? Maybe he already has it clinched. I don't know. We'll see.
So the next 2 days will go a long way in deciding that, right? Arkansas State has to play both Moorhead and Louisiana. Yeah, Louisiana Lafayette.
Yeah.
So it's gonna go a long way in deciding whether Arkansas State's actually a contender or not.
Also, I play Moorhead in 2 days as well, so
nobody cares.
That's also going to be it. Damn, shut down. All right, that's enough about our conference. Let's go on to the next one, 5.2, just the one right next over.
Yep.
And this one actually has gotten some a little bit of talk in the forums, because I know Dixie State's president CJ Rick, he posted about this situation. So obviously you can see 3 teams tied up top, and then there's still Chicago State with that's just one game back. So it's like a 4-team race. It's pretty tight. But Chicago State actually has the second best point differential out of all these teams. So, if they tie up with TCU or Missouri Western, they immediately shoot up, right?
Yeah.
Which is a big deal. That's a big deal.
So
yeah.
Question for you, just as a bit of trivia. How many teams in this conference do you think are in the top 100 RPI?
Oh, man. I feel like I looked at this, but I don't remember. I think it's like 3.
So it's 5 with
okay.
with 2 teams barely making the top 100, but they don't have a top 50 RPI team in this conference.
Oh.
I said top 100, but I'm saying they just don't even have a top 50.
Oh, I'm like, that's what I was like, did I mishear you?
No, I asked top 100, but they literally don't even. Dixie State's 55, TCU is 59.
Wow, that's surprising. I mean, I can see it based on these RPIs. Yeah, they're not high. There's no one above like 570, certainly. That's far away from 570.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it's pretty surprising.
So I guess it's like, it's a really tight band, but it's not like a high band, huh?
Yeah, not to say the least. We're not trying to shit on you at all, but we're just saying the facts here. But
that said, 2 of these teams I know are in the tournament picture. Like they're projected in right now, and one's on the bubble, and then one's out. So all 4 of them are like well within the picture, though.
Right? So interestingly, Chicago State's the one that's on the bubble, and Missouri Western's out, and that's just because of their weak RPI, right? 0.520.
Yeah. Yeah, and all point differential, which plays into RPI, of course.
Yeah,
for sure.
Of course. So,
but yeah, Chicago State, you can see the home away splits that each of these teams has, and the remaining RPIs. And to add a little bit onto it, Chicago State plays TCU. So basically, TCU has to play all 3 of these other teams on the road still within these next 8 games. So I don't think I'm going to be picking TCU as my prediction. Okay. In addition, their starting point guard and best player is out for the next 3 games.
That's tough.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. So to add a little bit more to it, Chicago State, they play 3 of the bottom 6 in the conference. Missouri Western plays 4 of the bottom 6, but has their starting center out for the next game. TCU, they only have 1 of the bottom 6. So again, yeah, that's a tough schedule. And Dixie State plays 4 of the bottom 6. So, if I was, to pick, no, you go first. Actually, it's your turn.
Okay. So no, I went first last time. You go first.
But I've already gone first twice.
Okay, all right.
Isn't this exciting, guys?
Yeah, this is the greatest content of all time. I went first twice. I just picked Calvin and Arkansas State. It has to rotate back to you.
Oh, okay. You're right. I guess it is. Incredible content. I'm gonna go with. Oh man. Yeah, I think. No, I'm gonna have some fun here. I'm gonna say Chicago State.
Chiaco. We can make a whole podcast about my typing errors. It would be great. Okay, Chicago State. Chicago State's who I was initially leaning. 5 home games.
As one of the podcast hosts I listened to on another show for real college basketball, he was making an attempt to become the real life coach of Chicago State. His slogan was "Make Chicago State again."
That's pretty good.
He did not get the job. He's still podcasting.
I can only imagine. Tough. Okay, I am going to take Missouri Western.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, they have the weakest remaining opponent RPI. They have 6 away games, but they're, I was looking at the schedule breakdown. It's against some of the worst teams in the conference, so that can sort of mitigate that fact a little bit. Let's have some fun. I'm going Missouri Western.
I think, yeah, I probably would have taken Dixie State, like if I was putting money on it.
Yeah.
Or not. Time to have some fun. Yeah.
We should have put some kind of bet on this, but oh well.
We're not that.
We can put some kind of bet on it, like for the tourney show or something.
Sure. Yeah. That's
where good. One of us has to wear like a tutu or some shit. Although
Oh
I
no.
don't know where they can find one.
Yeah. All right. So let's run through these next two conferences, and we got 5.10, and you can see there's 5 teams in contention here.
Yeah,
That's wow, that's tough. Tough conference.
it is a tough conference. So yeah, 5 teams in contention, but like the sixth place team has one of the better point differentials in the conference.
Wow, yeah,
Mary
that's
Washington.
crazy.
They're at like plus 210. So like they're beating teams bad, but then they're losing games close, is my guess.
Yeah, that makes sense. Versus like University of Sciences is almost the opposite. I
Yeah,
mean, they're not
exactly.
that bad, I guess, but
I mean,
yeah,
107 is not terrible, but
interesting.
it's also not like you're not, that's not definitive in any measure.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Yeah, yeah,
so
totally.
yeah, so St. Joseph's is a good team sitting up top. You have Ripon, whatever, Fair State
Mm.
and Central
Uh-huh.
College all sitting one game behind.
Yeah,
One
yeah.
game behind. So it's going to be a tough race towards the end. Um,
So I'm looking at their like remaining schedules for each of them, and I wrote down like where each of the teams on the schedule ranks.
okay. Oh
So
yeah.
so like St. Joe's, they play two of the bottom six, but they also face number two and number four and number five. They play two, four, five, six, and seven. I guess seventh isn't that good, but six is pretty good.
Yeah.
Um, Fair State though, they play three of the bottom six, and they only play two and five and six.
So I'm trying to think about like if it
Uh,
came down because Ripon, and St. Joseph's are going to play each other in that last day, right?
yeah.
And so if the conference came down to that game and Ripon was, still one game back, then they'd have to pass them on point differential. And right now
Mm-hmm.
it's 379 to 306, so I don't see that being covered. St. Joseph's is going to cover in point differential for the rest of the season, regardless of what team it is. I would be hard pressed to believe that Ripon would make that up over the
Um,
course of the remainder of the season.
it's possible, I think, but yeah, it's certainly going to be tough.
Yeah, and like there's enough bad teams left on St. Joe's schedule, right? There's like 16 and
Mm-hmm.
14.
Yeah,
That if
yeah,
you just have like a 30 or 40 point win in each of those games, it's going to be tough.
for sure. Yeah. I mean that 16th place team looks like in a really bad spot. So to have them on your schedule remaining is like a big advantage that St. Joe's has that Ripon doesn't.
Yeah, they're like on an L15 streak.
Yeah. And like
Um,
15th is looking pretty bad too, though. So maybe that's what negates it, maybe.
it's true.
Because 14th is not that bad.
14th isn't
Um,
terrible. So 15 and
yeah.
16 are by far the two worst, and it's not even close. And then 14 is at least somewhat respectable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right. I've had enough fun. I'm going with St. Joseph's.
Okay. Oh, wow.
I'm going
Let's
with St.
see.
Joseph.
Just looking at these and then looking at this. I'm gonna get frisky. Central College, baby. Let's go.
You're gonna roll with Central College.
Central College.
All
Looking at
right.
that remaining schedule,
Yeah, it's a juicy
right?
schedule.
And they get actually that was a dumb pick.
I mean,
Oh
they
man,
have
let's
they have
see.
their chance to make a statement.
No, I like it. I like it. Let's still go with it.
They have
Yeah.
the lowest remaining home games in the conference by at least two. They have six remaining away games. No other team has more than four.
But like they have the second best RPI remaining, remaining opponents RPI, and that's the juicy. That's what's juicy to me. In some ways, I think that playing the team out in front is an advantage because you get that head-to-head chance to beat them.
Yeah, I mean, you got to make a statement early, and next thing you know, you're a game back or tied for first.
Yeah. So I mean, obviously, like looking at that point differential, I'm not expecting it to be on point differential. Like I don't think they'll tie. I'm I'm betting Central College jumps over all of these teams.
That's a bold prediction, my man.
Yeah. Hey, I didn't say by how much. It can be by one game.
This is true. We're gonna have to revisit this and see what happens.
For sure. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Next conference.
Let's talk about LL11,
5.11.
5.11,
Yeah.
LL11, 5.11.
Oh wow. So
It,
yeah, another five-team race basically.
yep.
And I think that's pretty clear here for sure. Wow, look at these point differentials, like all above 200.
Yeah.
Connecticut College though is close to 400. That's pretty cool. Yeah, so like no one is like on the road a lot though, right? No one's at one home game or two home games, right?
No, I mean Framingham State's the most with 5 remaining road games,
Gotcha. Yeah. Interesting.
right?
And no one like has a especially strong or weak remaining RPI remaining.
I mean, Framingham State's at 0.478 versus Kentucky's or Northern Kentucky's at like 0.501. That's a distinct enough difference.
That's fair. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I still think it's a close enough though. I'm running the stats in my head right now. No, I'm just kidding.
Calculate the linear regression.
Yeah. Let's look at like who they kind of play though, more specifically. Like Northwestern has to go against the top three teams head to
Yeah.
head.
And 2 of those are
That's
coming in the last
that's
3 games of
tough.
the season. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, luckily they're at home, but like I that would be really rough. And yeah, they play 15 and 16, but a lot of these other teams also play 15 and 14 or whatever, you know. Framingham State, you know, they look pretty solid, right? They play 14, 15, and 16 and 12, but they do have 2 and 3.
Yeah.
So, you know, that's tough to kind of differentiate all these teams, I think.
It feels like Framingham has to go 1-1 against the 2 and 3 teams, right? Against Rice and
Yeah.
Northern Kentucky, and then they have to sweep the board.
Yeah. But like Northern Kentucky's schedule is like really kind of compact in the middle of the conference, right?
Yeah. But you could say the same about
Connecticut
Connecticut.
College. Yeah, yeah. I was just looking at that. I would say it's even like skewed down, and part of that is because they're ranked one.
Yeah.
But they don't play anyone in the top four. Wow, that's pretty favorable.
Yeah, that's really favorable actually. And they're sitting on what 5 home games.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
they're sitting on the most. Well, Rice has 6 home games, I guess. The second most remaining home games at 5,
Mm-hmm.
and their schedule looks pretty favorable. And they're
Yeah.
currently leading the conference, so they're the ones that have the game to give.
Plus
Per
like a
se.
pretty solid point differential
Yeah.
as well. All right. Are you ready to pick?
Yeah. I think it's your turn to go first, isn't it?
No, I went first last time.
Okay, good because
Because this is an easy one.
I'm taking Connecticut. Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't see how they lose this lead. I mean, they're
for
one
sure.
game up on Rice, and then they're 2 games up on Northern Kentucky on Framingham State Northwestern, right?
Yeah.
So if those were ones, then I'd feel a little bit different about it. But I think the schedule is too favorable for them.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, yeah, yeah, I was probably gonna pick Connecticut College if you didn't, if you were feeling kind of
Hey,
crazy.
you can push.
No, I mean, the point is to not pick the same though. I mean, otherwise we would have been picking the same, I'm sure, in other situations, right?
It's true. This is true.
So I'm gonna go with Framingham State. I believe the Golden Rams, which is a
Golden
great name,
Rams.
right? I hope so. I think I got that right. Oh, just Rams. Oh,
The
darn.
Rams from Framingham, Massachusetts.
Oh, this is Armored Giraffe's team.
Armored Giraffe.
He's a pretty like long time player on the baseball version, I think.
Do you want to know something interesting about Framingham State?
What? I
Their
don't know.
172 SI point guard is out for 11 days.
Oh, I made a terrible pick. I didn't see that. Oh no.
And then their second best
Re-
player is a power forward with 155 SI.
Hey, that's still pretty good.
Yeah, no, that's not
Damon
bad.
West. Oh no. Shoulder inflammation. What were you doing? This isn't baseball.
Oh, oh,
Oh man.
I mean,
You hate to see it.
you do hate to see it. This just goes to show that we didn't
Well,
do a whole lot of research on these teams before we made predictions. We're just going with it.
yeah, but I trust in the abilities of that of
Every,
armored giraffe. Okay.
everybody's bought in. Everybody's bought in.
Oh man,
Oh,
11 days. Yikes.
Connecticut is missing
But
their starting center for 2 days with an ACL
ooh,
strain.
oh, just one more game then, I guess.
2 day, yeah, probably one more game.
Hmm.
But who is that game for Connecticut? Oh, the 11th place team. Okay, they should be able to survive.
Watch them lose. Oh.
I would be really sad. Don't don't f it up, Connecticut, please.
All right, so that's our talk about D2. And now what you all been waiting for, D1. We know a lot of you are in D1 who listen, the most dedicated owners, of course, except for Rob. Of course, he doesn't have any D1 teams, y'all. But we're gonna
Wow.
get started talking about uh let's see, how do I say this? Elf IV4, 4.4. And this is Cal State Fullerton, this is St. Mary's, this is Cal State LA. It's a California heavy conference for sure. Wow, that's pretty cool.
It is
You
actually.
can see, oh no, I gave away one. Uh, you can see Fullerton and St. Mary's are tied at the top, and Fullerton has more home games, and St. Mary's is on the road a lot. Uh, in the next eight innings to finish up the season, this stretch run here. Um, but the big thing is basically St. Fullerton and St. Mary's go head to head, second to last game of the season, and that's going to determine a lot. And it's at Fullerton, so that is a bit of an advantage, we think, at least. But St. Mary's won the matchup last time, and they were missing their starting power forward, uh, I believe Howard Faust. So the fact that St. Mary's won and it was at home, but without one of their best players, I mean, that's got to scare Fullerton quite a bit, right?
I mean, one would think, St. Mary's is a deep team. St. Mary's is really good. And I know Fullerton was in a slump when that game happened, right? I think they had like 3 straight losses or 2 out of 3.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah.
So, for them to still be atop the conference after a slump like that, first of all, that's great. But, the hardest thing when I'm looking at this, the thing that sticks out to me right away is, man, St. Mary's has 7 road games left, only 1 home game. So that's
Mm-hmm.
tough. That's tough to overcome, right? We think
Yeah.
that there's some sort of advantage there,
But yeah, but there's other things involved. There's other teams involved. I mean, Cal State Fullerton has to play Cal State LA still, and the number 4 and 5 teams as well. That being University of Northern Arizona and Mount St. Joseph. So Fullerton has to play 2, 3, 4, and 5. That's really tough.
yeah, I mean, Fullerton certainly has it cut out for them in terms of the remainder of their schedule.
I mean, granted, they do have like 3 of the bottom 6 still,
Yeah,
so that helps mitigate it. But St. Mary's has 4 of the bottom 6. They also have to play Cal State LA though and Northern Arizona, but it's there's a lot of factors here it's hard to parse through actually.
yeah. So Cal State Fullerton ends the season with St. Mary's and Mount St. Joseph. Mount St. Joseph is a pretty decent team. That's buoying that opponent remaining RPI a little bit above St. Mary's.
Mm-hmm.
Man, this is tough. This is a tough ask, but I think I gotta stick with my gut and go with Cal State Fullerton here.
Okay.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think that's the way to go.
I do think I would, and they have a 19-point differential advantage over St. Mary's, which is close enough that it's like basically nothing, I'd say.
Yeah,
But
that's
it's
not a
something.
factor.
I mean, it's still like a slight advantage. I would rather have that than not, right?
Sure, certainly.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think Cal State LA is really in the picture here. I know they have an outside shot. They're 3 games back, but they're minus 102 uh, point differential from Cal State Fullerton, and they have to play both of them. And they only face 2 of the bottom 6. So I'm not feeling great about LA's chances. So I guess I'm gonna have to go with St. Mary's if we're not able to like pick 2 teams, if we're
We
not both
can
able to pick Fullerton.
we can go ahead and pick the same team. We have enough differences already. It's okay
Sure, sure.
if you want to be a
Um,
coward.
wow. Um, yeah, fine. I'll pick St. Mary's then. I'm not gonna stand for that. Sheesh.
Oh goodness,
Giving away the next team, but
that
I
was
guess
so
the
good.
conferences are up there.
That was so good.
Goaded me into it though, huh?
Yeah, I mean, I had to.
I got baited.
Yeah. But shout out to both, Cal State Fullerton and St. Mary's, right? NAF and Lubin, two pretty active users, guys that we see in the Discord. Should be a good finish for that one. I know
Yeah,
Lubins
for
wants
sure.
revenge for that first game. That's definitely for sure.
Yeah, yeah, I know. That where there's been talk about it, huh?
Yeah. Oh, lots of talk. Lubins does not stop talking. Let me tell you.
All right. So the next conference we're going to talk about is just one over, and that's 4.3. Um, yeah, this is South Florida, St. Leo, Dayton, and UPR Mayaguez. I am sure I'm mispronouncing that.
Did a fair enough job.
Thanks. But yeah, you can see the game differential here, just all 14s within 2 games. The remaining RPIs are pretty strong and pretty tightly grouped together, I'd say. The big difference is the home and away splits, actually, huh?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Dayton's got 6 games away. South Florida's got 5 games away. I guess has 6 games at home, but I mean, St. Leo's sitting there with 5 games left at home, and they're only one game
Hmm.
back. A two game lead is so hard to make up. I feel like with 8 games remaining in a season, it usually
I
takes
think
such a
so too.
massive swap. Yeah,
Yeah, you think about it. If the other team just goes 500, 4-4, you have to go 6-2. Like
and that's
six
to
wins may
tie
not
them.
sound that hard, and that's to tie them. Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
and Guess is sitting at the worst point differential right now at 319. Florida's at 505. St. Leo's at 393. Dayton's at 485. So
Yeah,
I mean, I guess that's one thing to think of, right? Is Dayton is within 20 in terms of point differential of South Florida. So if they were to pull off going 6-2 when South Florida goes 4-4, then now you have a contest there.
yeah. That'd be that's close. So the thing is here, each of these teams plays 2 of the other teams in these next 8 games.
Yeah.
Um, in all, so let's see, 3 of them play 3 of the bottom 6, and then St. Leo plays only 2 of the bottom 6. And here's the real kicker: USF, St. Leo, and Dayton all have to play me. They have to play College in New Rochelle, but UPR does not. They smoked me in the last game
where is
that we
where
played.
where is College New Rochelle on the table? In the conference
Like eight,
standings.
eight
Oh,
or nine or
sorry,
something.
I couldn't see all the way down there. Sorry about that.
Yeah. Oh man, I deserve that. I deserve that.
I don't have a D1 team, so I can't talk.
So, looking at it, like Dayton has to go to both St. Leo and USF. They're away for both of those games. Um, and UPR has both USF and St. Leo at home. I think that makes a pretty big difference.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, I would agree. So tomorrow is Dayton at St. Leo.
Yeah.
So we're
Yeah.
gonna get some resolution in this conference probably tomorrow. Because if St. Leo wins and Dayton goes 3 back, or well, yeah, it goes 3 back. That's gonna be too tough of an ask, right?
Yeah.
Um, so tomorrow, yeah, like I said, tomorrow we're gonna find something out. And Dayton after St. Leo has to go to South Florida, like you said. So
Yeah.
I mean, that's rough. That's really rough.
Yeah. Yeah. It is. Um, yeah. I mean, and you see St. Leo has like a 5 game home stretch, but then followed by a 3 game road trip.
Including a road trip to UPR, I guess.
Yeah, that's gonna be interesting. Um, but my guess finishes with St. Leo and South Florida. Sure at home, but and I know this conference really well. Obviously, Morehead State is not an easy team either, and they play really fast. Like they can fatigue you and obviously expose you to more potential injury risk.
Mm,
So, that's something to watch out for. Same with UCSC. Maybe UCSC isn't good this year. They're in demotion, but they play fast. They press a lot. So it's kind of like it still exposes you to injury risk, which you can't afford when it's this close and this late.
that's actually a very good point. I didn't even stop to think about, and these teams more intimate than I do because you're in conference with them.
Yeah.
But those are good points to think about. With all that said, who do you think you're rolling with here?
Oh man, I'm friends with like all of them.
Nobody cares about who you're friends with. Make a prediction.
Oh man. Um, I'm gonna go with Luis Guzman, the 190 plus. He's probably above that point guard or shooting guard, I guess, for Jennifer Lopez's UPR, my I guess team. They're my pick to win this conference.
All right. So you're bold. You're saying they're going to come back from 2 games back to
Yeah,
win this
yeah,
conference.
and that worst point differential too. Yeah.
What if I told you that 194 SI Luis Guzman was injured
Oh man,
for 10 days?
again, you can tell we didn't do our research here.
I'm lying. He's not injured. I was just trying to get you.
I had to check. Oh man, he scared me.
Luis Guz. Okay, so you referenced the fact that like, hey, maybe you have to play teams that are up tempo and stuff. Luis Guzman has a 20 speed and 19 stamina.
Well, it's not just about one player though, right?
I know, but that's just insane. That's ridiculous. That man
Yeah.
could run for days, and that's like Usain Bolt and like a marathon runner combined into one. They had a baby.
Yeah, I mean he's legit enough to carry a team for sure. But it's like Granados and Tejada have pretty low staminas. Artiega's slow. So like it's not like this lineup is perfectly built to handle speed, you
Yeah,
know.
definitely, definitely. That seems like their Achilles heel. Okay,
Not
you
that I can run fast on them,
you went
but
yeah you went Maya guess six remaining home games. I don't want to go Dayton because they have those 2 rough home games that are or 2 rough games against Mayaguez and Leo. I don't want to go South Florida. I'm gonna go St. Leo. St. Leo 5 remaining home games left, a .518, which is third strongest here, but you're going with the strongest left in Mayaguez.
ooh, they're
I don't care. Doesn't matter.
it's just their backup point guard, Ramon Jimenez.
Oh wow, dude, look at their roster SI compared to Mayaguez. Holy crap.
Yeah, there's
Mayaguez
a pretty
Mayaguez
big
is loaded.
difference.
Wow.
But I know with St. Leo, Hayes is a really good power forward. He actually plays Harvey, I believe, as his starting center, but Lane is like getting playing time as well. And yeah, I know the SIs aren't like impressive, but we've talked about this before. It's the size too, right?
Yeah.
Size and length and all these other factors.
Yeah, they got 6 guys in double digits and then another at 8.8 points a game. So it appears they're deep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm gonna roll with J Dog and St. Leo. Why not?
All right. Yeah. Interesting.
Don't let me
Interesting.
down, J Dog.
All right.
So who's the next conference you want to speak about here?
Okay. We got 2.2,
I mean, it's pretty
one of the
obvious.
highest.
Only 2 left we have to talk about.
I mean, if they looked up here, yeah, they could see it.
Yeah.
All right. So, it's a basically 3-team race to win, but these 3 teams are all going to promote essentially. I mean, to make up a 5-game difference in 8 games would be insane.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, you can see Lewis and Clark, who we've gone over in depth, Chowan and MIT, who I don't think we've gone in depth on, but it's not for today either.
Yeah.
That's all of these RPI remaining opposition RPIs are really close. Like that's as close as it gets.
Mm-hmm.
And you can see the home away splits remaining. No one has like a likely huge homestand to go, right?
Yeah.
And so yeah, that's interesting. Let's see. Let's break this down. I don't know who's like good in this conference though. I
Okay,
forget.
so Lewis and Clark has
Break
the
it down for
best
me.
point differential by a lot, right? 471,
Mm-hmm.
Chowin's 391, MIT's
That's right.
263. But something
Yeah,
else to
yeah.
consider about Chowin is they've played 21 home games and only 11 road games.
Wow. Yeah.
And you
So they're
know that
not road warriors.
they're not road warriors, and that's going to play into your point differential and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You know that I am not a fan of uneven schedule splits. I don't like when a team only plays 11 away games. Now,
And
granted,
he knows it's random.
they have 6 coming up, so like they're going to make up for it. And yes, I know it's random, but I just there's got to be a mini slump in there somewhere. Um,
For sure. Yeah. Yeah.
and they're 9-0 in their last
Um,
10. Real quick, bad note about Toledo. They're on a 3-game losing streak. So they were probably competitive right there. And then
mm-hmm.
a tough 3-game losing streak.
Yeah,
Yikes.
I know the president there is kind of unhappy with some of the recent results for sure. I'm hoping, you know, things can turn around there. But yeah, I mean, this right now this looks like a three-team race for this
Yeah.
season.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Um, yeah, so what's interesting is MIT, you know, yeah, they have 4 home games, but they have to play Chowan
Yep.
at home. But they have to go against Misericordia and Southern Indiana, who are 5 and 6 here, and they only play 2 of the bottom 6.
Yeah.
Chowan has to play both Lewis and Clark and MIT, but they play 4 of the bottom 6. And then Lewis and Clark obviously has to play Chowan. It's at Chowan, or Chowan. I'm sure we're saying it wrong no matter what.
Just send us a message and correct us.
Yeah. But Lewis and Clark, I'm sure I'm saying that one right at least. They play 4th and 5th, but also for the bottom 6. So they kind of have like a very like binary schedule versus like Chowan is like has one or you know the 2 top teams, but then easy peasy after that. And MIT is just tough.
MIT's just tough. So is it my turn or your turn to predict first?
I think it's your turn because I picked my guess first.
Yeah. So MIT schedule is a little bit more tough. Lewis and Clark and Chowan both have 6 remaining road games. That means Lewis and Clark is going to play 22 road games on the season, and Chowan's going to play 17. And as a matter of principle, I'm going Lewis and Clark.
All right. I guess I will go with Chowan then. The Hawks out of Murfreesboro.
The Murfreesboro, North Carolina. Been there.
Yeah. You have?
I have. I lived in North Carolina for 2 years, remember?
Yeah, I remember that.
I did not visit Chowan University, though. So sorry.
All right. So that's 2.2. 2.1 is not as interesting even, so we won't go over that. Instead, we're going to go up to Legends, the real landmark, I don't know, trademark?
Landmark's fair? Yeah, I don't
know. Flagship.
Yeah, there you go. The flagship of the game. Yes.
That's the word I was looking for.
We are struggling.
We're struggling, but you know who's not struggling? Butler.
That was a good transition. I like it.
Yeah, I mean Butler. We've talked about them. They've gone bought, but they're tied for the lead in Legends.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
9-1 in their last 10.
Wow, damn.
I mean, that's a quick way to shoot up the Legends board.
Yeah, I mean, you know, Florida State. That's who they're tied with, and Florida State looks like they have. They definitely have a big point differential advantage, but they're actually tied in point differential with Mississippi, who's 3rd place and only 1 game back. So, you know, it kind of looks like Butler is not the favorite here. Yeah. If they lose, they drop like a decent amount.
So Florida State just took an L today to Columbia, 3-point loss.
Oh, wow.
So this was a 1-game lead for Florida State going into today.
Mm-hmm.
That makes it interesting. And Columbia is a demotion team, right? They're 15th.
Yeah.
Oof.
That's interesting. Yeah. very inopportune time to lose.
Yeah, especially to a demotion team when you're
Hmm.
on the verge of winning Legends.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously I think we've talked about all these teams, right?
Yeah,
Throughout
we've
our,
talked about all of these teams in depth, yeah.
yeah.
But you look at, yeah, I mean, the thing that stands out here, I think, is Mississippi's 8-0, or 8 home games left, right?
So that's what I was going to lean on, right? 8 remaining home games, no remaining away games, but they also have the strongest remaining opponent RPI out of the 5 teams that we have here, right? They're the only one above 6.
Hmm.
So, regardless, with Legends, those remaining RPIs are really strong across the board. But like 0.601 compared to 0.586 for Florida State, that's pretty significant in my mind, right?
Hmm.
That's a
Yeah.
different enough um, remaining opponent RPI there that that gives me some concern.
Yeah.
But again, 8 home games, that's tough to overcome. I think it's your turn to go first on this one.
Oh yeah. Perfect timing. Um, yeah, unfortunately it's so hard. It's so close because all these teams are so good. So I don't really know. I honestly I think I'm just shooting taking a shot in the dark, you know?
Yeah, Florida State's been there all season long, right? We've seen them ranked number
Yeah.
1 in the top 25 poll, like
They
pretty much.
still are, I
Yeah,
think.
they still are. Yeah, pretty much all.
Yeah.
I mean, they took an L today and they didn't move.
Yeah, right. Um, but I'm gonna go with the team that was number one for early on in the season, and I'm gonna go with Rochester.
You're going with Rochester.
Yeah, Rochester, baby.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
I did not expect that. I'm not gonna lie. Um, wow. Okay, mixing it up here. I like it.
I don't have any reason though, really.
I mean,
I
who's
mean, they have the second hardest remaining RPI. They have the fewest home games remaining. I think
yeah.
everything we've talked about would suggest that they're the least likely, actually.
So tomorrow, Rochester goes to Florida State.
Oh, wow. So, I mean, that's
So
a big chance
that's
to,
a big chance.
make something happen.
And then the day after, they go to Huntington to visit our buddy Bridger.
Oh, wow. Damn.
And then in a few days, they play Mississippi on the road. So,
Right.
I mean, it's when you talk about Legends, it's a murderer's row with your schedule across the board, regardless.
Hmm.
But yeah, I mean, they have a chance to make their statement tomorrow. They beat Florida State. They're
I
right
guess
there.
who plays Oklahoma? Because
Yeah, yeah.
that's like the one team.
Seriously.
Let's see who Oklahoma, if they are actually on the schedule for anyone. I guess I
Because
didn't
that's
look
an
through.
immediate W. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
Butler, Rochester, and Florida State.
yep.
Okay, that's good to know.
Butler, Rochester, and Florida State. So those are
Yeah.
assumed W's. Florida State's got one down. So really, and is that a road game for Florida State? No, it's a
No.
home game. So that means that they're looking at 4 away, 3
Yeah.
home outside of that.
But Rochester also gets them at home too.
Yeah. So then that means you're looking at really 2 home games and 5 away for Rochester.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You're still sticking with it?
Yeah. I don't second guess myself.
Oh,
I mean, I
God.
do, but
Here we go. Here, you should have second guessed yourself with that last matchup against Santa Clara, but.
Oh.
All
Man.
right. Oh boy. See, I want to pick Mississippi, but like I don't want to do that at the same time. I am gonna roll Butler because they are bot, and I think computers are smarter than humans, just like everybody probably thinks. And I think it would be hilarious for nobody Jones to leave Butler, and then for them to win Legends.
Yeah, for sure.
Like
That would be funny.
we hear nothing nonstop from the Legends guys about how they're superior to the rest of the game and all their snobbiness and whatnot. And if
Yeah,
for them
right.
to just
Yeah.
get beaten by a bot, I would want nothing more. I'd love
To
it.
be clear, because they can't see our faces actually right now. They can only see the screen share. Uh, we don't. I don't think they're actually snobby. Maybe you do.
That's you can be the sensible one on the podcast. Like I
I'm
said, I'm the biggest idiot here.
okay. Okay.
You're the slightly less idiotic,
Mm-hmm. That's fair.
but nothing. Whatever. I want them to win the Legends, and then I want them to win the national tourney.
Wow.
Just for
And
the comedic factor. Let's be real.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we'll take a look at it. I think in a little bit we're gonna be doing like a little tournament preview, huh?
Yeah, yeah, that tournament preview, we're obviously gonna have to have a quick turnaround time because tournament games kick off like that. But we'll do our best to bring you guys a tournament preview, and maybe we'll even make some bold predictions in the preview. I think that'd be fun.
I don't think there's any doubt we will.
Yeah, we're a little bit too competitive, but we're gonna have to put something on that one. So
For
we're gonna
sure.
have to
Oh
make
yeah.
it for sure. If you guys have any ideas as to like what the loser should do, chime in, please. Let's make it interesting.
Oh no.
Just don't make it like shave an eyebrow because
We
maybe
have jobs and people to see.
here's what we'll do. Okay, we're gonna take user suggestions for whoever loses the tournament prediction one, and then we'll have a poll. We'll pick the three best that we like, and then we'll have a poll, and we'll let people pick.
Okay, that's fair. I'm
That's what
down.
we're gonna do. All right.
All right. So we talked about it a little last week or last episode, and we're gonna have a guest on our next episode during that midweek time, and we're really excited. We talked about the number one team being Florida State. Well, we're gonna have the number two team president on as our guest next. Basoy,
Basoy.
Azusa Pacific, man. Yeah, that's gonna be great.
Dude, they're on fire. Aren't they like 31-1 this season?
Yeah, yeah, they are.
Yeah, that team's kicking ass.
Yeah, so one of the up and rising, like fastest rising teams in the whole game, really. I mean, they're 31-1, right? Like you said, in LL3, but number two in RPI in all of Division One. I'd assume in all of the game. We talked about them being the highest TPI team at the beginning of the season. They've probably maintained that, I imagine. Although it looks like Florida State's kind of catching them. Ooh, wow.
So it's actually interesting because didn't you at one point have them in your conference in LL6?
No, it was LL5.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, and yeah. Then they promoted that one season we were together, and then he promoted again.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, we're gonna get some questions for him and just have a good old time, I think.
Yeah, I think it's going to be solid. He'll have a lot to add. And, a successful guy who's won a couple conferences, had some success in the tourney. We'll see. Um, it's always good to get different, diverse opinions from people and sort of see his ascent and what he thinks about the game.
For sure. Yeah. So look forward to that. And again, always, as always, like and comment on our videos, and
Subscribe.
we appreciate the support. So subscribe. Yeah. Yeah.
Subscribe.
All right.
All
I'll
right,
talk to you
Andrew.
later.
Fart Buddies out.